On our 7th wedding anniversary, the junior who had secretly been in love with my wife for 5 years deliberately hit me with his car. Jessica, who claimed that she only loved me, took advantage of my unconsciousness to sign a letter of apology without authorization, absolving Victor of responsibility. When I woke up, Jessica said helplessly, Victor was just momentarily confused. We can't ruin his life because of this incident, just liked me too much. Looking at Jessica, whose face remained calm but whose eyes betrayed heartache, I knew this marriage was beyond repair. What was the point of insisting? I looked at Jessica calmly. She looked at me with disapproval. John, you're a lawyer. You know how devastating a criminal record can be for a young person just entering society. Don't you always say that the law should reflect human compassion? Victor already knows he was wrong. He even tried to kill himself over it. Isn't that punishment enough? I stared at Jessica, now aggressive towards me for another man, expressionlessly, as a bitter feeling surged in my chest. Realizing her tone was wrong, Jessica fell silent. I didn't speak to ease the tension as I once would have, I just looked at her coldly. After a while, Jessica explained that she simply couldn't bear to see a young man ruin his future, and asked me not to overthink. I let out a quiet laugh and said nothing. Jessica became uneasy at my silence and nervously called out, "Husband," but before she could finish, a nurse rushed in and said anxiously, "Dr. Jessica, the patient you brought in yesterday woke up and is threatening suicide." Jessica's expression changed. "I'll go check," she said, leaving without a backward glance. Victor often pulled stunts like this before, and I never took them seriously. But I didn't expect Jessica to be affected by him. Not long after, I received a phone notification. It was Victor's update. He wrote that while I wasn't in her heart, her actions showed otherwise. The photo showed Jessica anxiously checking on him. I scrolled and saw many similar updates, nearly all featuring Jessica. Turns out, when I wasn't paying attention, they had shared many interactions. Jessica often claimed she was working late at the hospital, but now I knew what overtime really meant. She was with Victor most of the time. From Victor's Weibo, I could clearly trace the progression of their relationship. I couldn't sleep that night, so I walked to the window and there, downstairs, I saw them. "Senior sister, you care about me, don't you? Otherwise, why worry so much?" Victor asked excitedly. "I just couldn't bear it," Jessica began, but Victor cut her off. "Senior sister, stop lying to yourself. It doesn't matter to me, don't need a title. As long as I can be with you." A flicker of emotion crossed Jessica's face. Victor clearly saw it. Suddenly, he grabbed her face and kissed her. Jessica raised her hand, lowered it, repeated the motion a few times, then finally hugged him back, as though resigning herself. I watched them kiss passionately in the night, lowered my head, and laughed bitterly. After a while, a passerby made a noise, snapping Jessica out of it. She pushed Victor away. He fell to the ground unprepared but laughed with joy. Jessica muttered, "You're crazy," and left. I sneered, looked down, sent a message, and went back to bed. A reply came quickly, "Really?" Then the phone rang. Just as I was about to answer, Jessica came in. I hung up. She noticed that the view from my window showed the spot where she and Victor had kissed. Guilt briefly flickered across her face before she composed herself. "Hubby, why haven't you slept yet?" she asked cautiously. That term, hubby, confirmed what I'd already suspected. Jessica only used it when she felt guilty or needed something. I didn't respond directly but asked how Victor was. Jessica hesitated before saying, "He's fine. Just a kid throwing a tantrum. As his doctor, I can't ignore it." Then she realized her words were wrong. Victor had head trauma. "You don't need to explain." "I don't care," I interrupted. Jessica frowned. "What do you mean, you don't care? What could possibly happen between Victor and me? You know I hate clingy people." I chuckled. "You hate him? Then why interact with him at all?" Jessica was momentarily stunned, then said yes. She then pointed to my buzzing phone. Who's calling you in the middle of the night? I glanced and replied casually, spam call. Jessica didn't believe me and tried to grab my phone. I raised my hand to block her. She frowned. Are you hiding something from me? I said calmly, I'm a lawyer. There's confidential information on my phone. Jessica opened her mouth but said nothing. I didn't look at her again and walked out, phone in hand. As soon as I answered, a woman's excited voice came through. John, you really agreed to be the legal advisor for my company? You've divorced Jessica. You're willing to be with me. It was Andrea. She'd invited me to join Lynn's legal department long ago, but I refused for Jessica's sake. I told Andrea I'd only join if Jessica and I divorced. Back then, she sighed and said I was talking nonsense. Everyone thought Jessica and I were deeply in love. Jessica had even given up her inheritance to be an ordinary hospital doctor for me. But I didn't expect her to change. Andrea's repeated calls brought me back to reality. Yes, I said. I'm ready for divorce. Andrea went quiet. Did something happen? She asked. We'll talk when the time is right. Give me a week, I'll come find you, I replied. Just then, Jessica exited the ward and heard the last part. Who are you seeing in a week? She asked. I said something to Andrea, hung up, and turned to Jessica. A client meeting. Jessica didn't press further. She put her arm around my waist and said in a soft voice, John, I was too anxious in the afternoon. I signed the letter of apology because I didn't want to owe Victor so much. You can understand me, right? After listening to Jessica's words, I believed that her original intention was like that. Maybe she herself didn't realize that her heart had already left me. I smiled and said, I can understand. I'm tired, so I'll go back and rest first. When Jessica heard that I was tired, she urged me to go back and rest. It's all my fault. Patients should rest more. I even quarreled with you over some trivial matters. Looking at the guilt on her face that didn't seem fake, I couldn't understand her behavior today. I lowered my head and hid the sadness in my eyes. There was still a week left to end all of this. During the 3 days I was in the hospital, Jessica would come to the ward to accompany me after getting off work every day. On the surface, everything seemed the same as before, but I knew that Jessica would meet Victor in the middle of the night every day. In the updates posted by Victor every day, I saw them go to the beach to watch the stars and go to eat barbecue across the city. Even tonight, when Jessica told me she was on a night shift, she went to a hotel with Victor. From the video sent by Victor, I heard him ask many times whether Jessica had him in her heart. When I thought Jessica wouldn't answer, I heard her erotic and my heart completely died with that The next day, Jessica came early and pushed open the door of my ward with breakfast. I looked at the name on the breakfast package in her hand. It was more than 10 kilometers away from the hospital, but it was near the hotel where she and Victor had gone yesterday. Why did she go so far to buy breakfast? Jessica paused for a few seconds when I asked. She said she had nothing to do in the morning, so she drove there to buy it. Don't you like it? Eat first, and I'll go back to the department for a meeting. Not long after Jessica left, the door of the ward was pushed open again. I looked up and saw Victor. My reaction was calmer than I expected. Before he could speak, I told him that Jessica was not here. Victor was stunned for a moment, with a little smugness in his tone. I knew senior sister wasn't here. I just came to return her clothes. I sneered. If he really wanted to return the clothes, why bring them to me? I glanced at the coat in his hand, took it and threw it aside, and said calmly, thank you. Victor was unwilling to give up. He asked me why I wasn't curious about why the clothes were in his hands. I continued to eat breakfast indifferently. What can a piece of clothing mean? Jessica might have just thrown it to him casually. Victor glared at me angrily. Senior sister, yesterday, before he could finish speaking, Jessica suddenly pushed the door open. Why are you here? When she saw Victor in the ward, her face froze. Senior sister, I came to bring you clothes. Thank you for your clothes yesterday. Jessica looked at him impatiently. It's nothing. Let's go quickly. Hearing this, Victor looked at Jessica with hurt eyes, then turned and left. As soon as the door was closed, Jessica anxiously explained to me, John, don't listen to his nonsense. I have nothing to do with him. He didn't have clothes when he was discharged from the hospital yesterday, so I lent him some. I didn't expect him to come to you with them and talk nonsense. I finished the last mouthful of porridge before I slowly said, he didn't say anything, just said he came to return the clothes. A trace of regret flashed in Jessica's eyes. Maybe she regretted saying too much. She felt like she was trying to cover something up but could only mutter, that's it. At that moment, Jessica's phone rang. I saw the name, Cheng, flashing on the screen. After glancing at it, she said there was an emergency in the department and left. Listening to her increasingly practiced lies, I smiled bitterly and began to prepare a divorce agreement. When Jessica came back, her lips were red. I looked away after one glance. She involuntarily touched her lips. When she saw the divorce agreement on my screen, Jessica was flustered for a moment. John, aren't you a commercial lawyer? Why are you suddenly looking at a divorce agreement? I said perfunctorily, I prepared it for a friend. When Jessica wanted to ask something else, her phone rang again with the department's ringtone. A patient needed emergency treatment, so she left. Watching her hurried figure disappear, I buried my head and continued working on my divorce agreement. The next day, when I finished the discharge procedures, Jessica appeared in the ward, tired. Yesterday, the department had emergency patients one after another. I was busy all night. I didn't ask about her health as I used to when I heard her tired voice. I just said calmly, thank you for your hard work. Jessica seemed a bit annoyed by my indifference these days. John, what's wrong with you these days? It's just a letter of apology. Why can't you understand me? I looked at her calmly and didn't answer the question. I have urgent matters to handle at the law firm. I have something important to tell you tonight. Come back early. After saying that, I didn't wait for her response and left with my things. Back at the firm, I printed a transfer letter and went to the partner. We had already discussed this before. From now on, I would handle Lynn's affairs. After that, I took the divorce agreement home, but even by 10 at night, Jessica hadn't come back. I refreshed Weibo and saw Victor had updated a post 10 minutes ago. In the picture, he and Jessica were kissing under the starry sky. I looked at the location. It was the beach where I proposed to Jessica before. I took the divorce agreement and drove straight there. Before I got close, I heard people cheering, say yes, say yes. Amid the cheers, Jessica slowly nodded. After the crowd dispersed, Victor happily took her hand and looked back. The moment Jessica saw me, her smile vanished. Her face twisted in fear. Husband, why are you here? I looked at her with unprecedented indifference. I'm here to witness your love. When Jessica tried to explain, I handed her the divorce agreement and said coldly, Jessica, let's get divorced. Jessica's pupils instantly dilated. John, are you kidding me? I was just joking with Victor. It would have looked bad to reject him in front of so many people. Her voice trembled. Are you kidding me too, then? I held out the divorce agreement seriously. Do you think I'm joking with you? Jessica's eyes began to fill with tears. Husband, believe me. I have nothing to do with Victor. He just keeps pestering me. Every word sounded sincere. If I hadn't seen Victor's Weibo post, I might have believed her. I glanced at Victor, who stood pale behind her, and gave a sarcastic smile. Your little boyfriend is about to break down. Are you sure you don't want to watch it? A hint of hesitation flashed across Jessica's face, but she quickly made up her mind and said, don't talk nonsense. I only agreed to this for his sake. I won't contact him again. I'll delete him now. As she said this, she took out her phone to block all of Victor's contact information. Victor cried and pulled Jessica's arm. Senior, I won't bother you again, okay? Jessica impatiently pushed him away. It's your fault. You made John misunderstand me. Don't show up in front of me again. I watched their performance with a sarcastic smile tugging at the corner of my lips. Victor looked at her with sadness, while Jessica coldly pulled me away. Victor's eyes filled with unwillingness and resentment. After she pulled me away, I shook her hand off. The act is over. Can we sign now? Jessica looked confused at my words. Acting? John, what do you mean? I chuckled. You two seem to enjoy acting, so I joined in for a while. A flicker of guilt appeared on her face as she tried to deny it. I just stared at her silently. After a while, Jessica turned away and said, "Stop bothering me. Sign the divorce papers and let's go handle the procedures tomorrow." I replied coldly. Just as she was about to speak, Victor ran up behind her and said, "Senior, divorce him. I'll treat you well. He doesn't know how to cherish you." Before he could finish, Jessica slapped him hard. "What nonsense are you spouting? Why would I divorce John? I only played along with you because I felt sorry for you." Victor stared at her in shock. "Are you serious, Senior?" Jessica didn't respond. She simply turned her head away. Victor's eyes turned red. I watched them with a mocking smile. Jessica took my hand and pleaded, "John, I won't contact him again. Don't get the wrong idea. He's just immature." I placed the divorce papers in her hand. "Sign them. What you do has nothing to do with me anymore." Then I turned and walked to the car. Jessica clutched my hand and pleaded, "John, after all this time together." I yanked my hand away. "Jessica, I don't want to make this ugly. Just sign it. You know I'm a lawyer. If I'm giving you these papers, I have the evidence." She stood stunned as I got into the car and drove off. In the rearview mirror, I saw Victor hugging her from behind. She shoved him away, and the two began arguing. Back home, I started packing. This house was Jessica's before our marriage. We thought it unnecessary to move, so we stayed. Looking at our wedding photo on the wall, memories of our wedding day came flooding back. I lost my parents early on. On our wedding day, Jessica held my hand and introduced me to her parents, telling me I finally had a family. She swore she'd stay by my side forever. I believed her. But the person who once said those words had changed. Thinking about it, I glanced at the sunlight outside, took down the wedding photo, and tore off the part with me in it. In that moment, I felt unexpectedly relieved. I began clearing out everything related to me. When Jessica opened the door, I was tossing our couple's mugs into the trash. She rushed to retrieve them, but upon seeing everything inside, she froze and looked at me in disbelief. "You threw all of this away?" I gave her a cold look. "If you want them, take them." Then I grabbed my suitcase and prepared to leave. Jessica grabbed my hand tightly. "I said I won't contact Victor again. Isn't that enough?" I looked back with a tired expression. "Didn't you already agree to his advances? Didn't you sleep with him before?" My words made guilt flash across her face. "What are you talking about?" Before she could speak again, I played the video I had saved. Her face paled as she watched. She stammered a few times but said nothing. I didn't bother arguing. I checked the time, shook off her hand, and left. I checked into a nearby hotel. Not long after, I got a message from Jessica saying she'd signed the divorce agreement. I told her to meet me at the Civil Affairs Bureau the next morning. When we met, I handed her the papers. "Sign it." Jessica said she came to explain the video Victor had drugged her and she didn't know what happened. "Husband, doesn't the law say that ignorance is not a crime?" I frowned. I hadn't expected her to lie even now. "I saw you kissing him at the hospital. Were you drugged then too?" My voice carried a low growl. Years of love had just been shattered, and I couldn't keep calm. Jessica froze. She wanted to explain but couldn't. I pinched my nose in exhaustion. "Sign it." I don't want to be entangled with you anymore. Jessica's eyes reddened. She whispered, "I'm sorry," and walked into the building with the documents. The procedures were completed quickly. I looked at the divorce certificate and a 30-day cooling-off notice. "See you in 30 days, I muttered, then turned to leave. Jessica grabbed my hand. "John, I signed it, but I won't give up." I didn't respond. I quickly left, returned to the hotel, grabbed my things, and headed straight to the airport. When the plane took off, I posted a message, "Goodbye to the past." When I landed, I saw a group of old friends waiting. Leading them was Andrea. They rushed over when they saw me. "You're finally back. It's good to have you home. We've got a place ready for you." Hearing their voices, I felt warmth spread through me. Andrea smiled faintly in the crowd. I walked up to her and grinned. "Hello, Miss Andrea. Reporting for duty." Andrea laughed. "Let's go. I've prepared a welcome party for you." They took me to our favorite hotpot spot. After a few drinks, one friend leaned in and said, "John, now that you're back, consider giving Xiaoyu a chance. She had been waiting for you for so many years. Andrea likes me. It's an open secret among our circle of friends." I smiled. I don't want to think about these kinds of things right now. Making money is important. A trace of disappointment flashed across Andrea's face, but she quickly joked, "You want to make money off me, right?" The topic quickly shifted. Eventually, Andrea took me home when I was half drunk. "I haven't seen you in 2 years. Your alcohol tolerance has gotten worse." I chuckled. She doesn't like it. She rarely drinks. Jessica can't stand the smell of alcohol. When I was with her, I hardly drank at all. When Andrea heard this, her smile froze for a few seconds, then she silently poured me some honey water. I looked at the honey water in her hand, a bit surprised. "Why is there honey?" Andrea said unhappily, "I bought it. What, you think the house makes honey by itself?" When I heard that, I remembered how, back when a bunch of us got drunk, Andrea would take us home, and I always had one more glass of honey water than the others. I closed my eyes and suddenly felt a bit guilty. "Ayu, I'm sorry." Before I could finish, Andrea cut me off. "John, you know I don't want an apology. I've been used to this for years." After that, I couldn't say anything more. The next morning, I was woken up by a call from Jessica. Just like before, she asked what I wanted for breakfast. I was silent for a moment before replying coldly, "We're divorced." Jessica's tone was clearly hurt. "We can still have breakfast even if we're divorced, can't we? Can't we still be friends? I'm not interested in being friends with you. Don't contact me if there's nothing important." Then I hung up and blocked her. As I was about to get up and wash, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, Andrea was standing there with breakfast, smiling. "John, I brought you breakfast." I blinked. "You came all this way to bring me breakfast?" Andrea pointed to the apartment across the hall and said she lived there. Andrea's feelings for me had always been open and sincere. Even though I knew, I never felt uncomfortable around her. After breakfast, just as we were heading out, my phone rang and it was an unfamiliar number. When I picked up, I realized it was Jessica. "John, I went to your law firm, and they said you requested an external transfer. Where did you go?" I hadn't expected her to find my workplace. "That's none of your business, is it?" My words clearly hurt her. "How is it none of my business? I want to see you, John. Let's meet." Before she could finish, she heard Andrea's voice in the background. She immediately shouted in a low voice, "Why is Andrea's voice there? John, why are you with her?" I wasn't surprised at all. Andrea was a thorn in her side. I didn't answer and hung up. That day, Jessica called me countless times and sent message after message, all asking about Andrea and me. I ignored them. When Andrea came over for dinner, my phone kept ringing. She raised an eyebrow, pointed at it, and asked if she could answer. Without looking up, I said, "Answer it if you want." Andrea calmly picked it up and said hello. Jessica's yelling came through immediately. "Why are you answering John's phone? What's your relationship with him?" Andrea smiled even more. "What do you want to talk about?" "John is busy." Her words made Jessica even more hysterical. Amid her shrieking, Andrea hung up, clearly amused. "Come on, let's eat. I'm in a good mood. My treat sashimi." Looking at the table full of sashimi, I knew Andrea wasn't lying. "Eat. Don't you like sashimi?" I looked at Andrea, who couldn't hide her smile. She didn't care and kept eating. That afternoon, a colleague texted me that Jessica had shown up at the firm, asking everyone where I was. No one told her about my transfer. She broke down and shouted at the office door, not at all like her usual self. Watching the video, I calmly turned off my phone and went back to work. I thought I wouldn't see her again, but a week later, I ran into her outside the company after work. I frowned and walked away. She ran up. "John, come home with me. Stop being mad." I laughed in disbelief. "I'm here to work." Jessica didn't buy it. "You're just angry at me, aren't you? That's why you chose to work here." I didn't want to argue, so I tried to walk past her. But she grabbed my hand and pleaded, "John, please come back with me. I beg you." I looked at her with frustration. "Jessica, we're over. We're divorced." She still wouldn't give up. Just as she was about to speak, Andrea's voice cut in. "Dr. Jessica, you cheated and now you want to get back together. Want all the good things in life, don't you?" Jessica's face turned even darker. "You again. Why do you keep popping up?" Andrea just smiled and grabbed my hand. "John, my mom knows you're back and wants you over for dinner." I was surprised Andrea hadn't mentioned it. Our families were old friends, but the way she winked made me say yes. Jessica looked stricken. "John, you promised me you wouldn't associate with her. You can't go back on your word." Back then, because she was jealous, I distanced myself from Andrea and drifted from my old friends. I never thought I'd be able to reconnect with them like this. I looked at Jessica coldly. "I forgot all about that. You don't still take seriously something I said in passing, do you?" Then I took Andrea's hand and left. Jessica's crying didn't slow me down. She's part of my past and the past has no place in the path I walk now. Andrea really did take me home for dinner. I thought she was joking, but standing in front of the Lin family's door, I froze. Andrea urged me to hurry up. I hadn't brought anything. It had been a long time since I visited the Lin family, and being brought there by Andrea made me oddly nervous. While I hesitated, Mr. and Mrs. Lin suddenly came out. As soon as she saw me, Mrs. Lin's eyes turned red. "John, you're back. Auntie hasn't seen you in a long time." I quickly stepped forward and took her hand. After my parents passed away unexpectedly, Lin's father and mother treated me like their own son and even invited me to go home with them. But at that time, my grandparents took me away from the city. I didn't get in touch with them again until I grew up. When I saw the table full of my favorite dishes, my eyes welled up. Since my parents' passing, I rarely ate these dishes. At first, I was living under someone else's roof and didn't dare to ask for anything. Later, these dishes became sealed in my memory. I blinked away the tears and began to eat. After the meal, memories from the past flooded my mind. When I lay in bed at night, my thoughts drifted back to the time I first met Jessica. That day, after paying my respects to my parents, I drove back to the law firm to work as usual. While waiting for the traffic light, I saw Jessica being hit by a middle-aged man. Out of professional ethics, I kindly told the man what the consequences would be for a hit-and-run, and suggested that Jessica call the police. The man thought I was ruining his escape plan and, in a rage, threw a drill at me. I was injured because I couldn't dodge it in time. Jessica anxiously checked my wound. After treating it, she said it was her fault and asked for my contact information. After knowing each other for half a year, we became a couple. The next day, when I received a call from Jessica in a daze, I couldn't react at first. "John, I made your favorite cakes and am waiting for you at the door of your office." I was about to answer but suddenly realized what she was saying. "Jessica, you don't need to do these meaningless things." When she saw me working with Andrea, she grabbed my hand and asked, "John, is this why you insisted on divorcing me? You've changed your mind, haven't you?" Hearing this, a sarcastic smile appeared on my lips. "Jessica, if that reason will make you stop bothering me, then yes. Don't think everyone is like you, who would betray their other half. You know what you've done, don't you? How can you still have the nerve to pester me? Are you so shameless, or do you think I'll forgive you just because I'll endure the disgust?" As I questioned her, Jessica's face gradually turned pale. She looked at me with red eyes and asked, "John, did you just say I'm disgusting?" I nodded coldly and told her not to bother me again. No matter who I'm with in the future, there will be no future for us. After that, I told Andrea to inform the security guards not to let irrelevant people near the company. I thought that, having said it so decisively, Jessica would finally give up and leave. But the next morning, I was woken by a knock on the door. I glanced at the time and thought Andrea had arrived early today. "Ah, why are you so late today?" My words stopped abruptly when I saw Jessica standing there. "What are you doing here?" Jessica, as if nothing had happened, told me she had followed me home the day before. "This is the porridge you always liked. I made it early this morning. Can you try it, John? Please, give me another chance." Before I could say anything, Andrea's door opened. She leaned against the door frame in her pajamas and smiled. "John, you know I don't actually like porridge, right?" The smile on Jessica's face froze instantly. She turned to me in confusion and asked, "Is that true?" I nodded indifferently. "Yes." Jessica refused to believe it. "It's impossible. I've always seen you eat it before." Before I could respond, Jessica's phone rang. The anxious voice of the person on the other end came through clearly. "Dr. Jessica, you're trending. Take a look." Jessica frowned and impatiently asked, "What's trending?" "Someone posted a photo of you on a bed online. The dean wants you to come back immediately." Jessica's face turned pale as she glanced at me in panic before rushing out. I pulled out my phone and saw a pop-up message about the beautiful doctor's alleged affair and explicit photos. I swiped it away and went to wash up. That night, the video of Jessica, Victor, and the hospital argument hit the trending news again. In the video, Victor looked crazed, holding a knife to his wrist while shouting, "Senior, you said you wanted to be with me. Everything in my house is ready. Why are you suddenly regretting it? I can't live without you. If you don't come with me, I'll die." Jessica looked at him coldly and said indifferently, "I can never be with you. The person I love is not you." Upon hearing this, Victor went wild, repeatedly slashing at his own hand with the knife. After the incident made headlines, Jessica was dismissed from the hospital. Victor fell into a vegetative state due to excessive blood loss and brain hypoxia. His parents sued Jessica, demanding compensation. The next time I saw Jessica was after the divorce cooling-off period. She looked haggard, with dark circles under her eyes. She was no longer as energetic as before. "Let's go in," I said, walking into the Civil Affairs Bureau. After coming out with the divorce certificate, she apologized with red eyes. She told me the lawsuit with Victor's parents would go to court the next day. I wasn't interested in asking further, so I got into Andrea's car, which had been waiting for me, and said, "Congratulations on being free again." I took the flowers from Andrea and said, "Let's go. They're still waiting." A year later, Andrea and I got married. Lynn's father and mother were so happy that they couldn't stop smiling. We didn't plan a wedding. The day after I posted our marriage certificate on social media, I received a strange text message saying, "I wish you happiness. I deleted the message casually and continued watching movies with Andrea. My life will continue to be happy from here on. The end.